let go so I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me. And I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we're going to have a good time today. FT Live. Who says August baseball is boring? Nobody. Drama, please. Scotty brought AJ Pierzynski.
You know what?
Erik Kratz with you on Stadium. Be careful what you say. No, before you even start, just be careful. Can you say baseball is the best? He's wearing the shirt today.
Well, of course.
Okay. I don't know.
We're not talking about the White Sox today.
Yeah, right. They'll come up. They won. They won. You're so happy.
My soul. They crushed my soul.
Okay, so I do want to respond to that, but let me just sneak this in. Ken Rosenthal in about 10 minutes. Mike Ferrin, who is on Sirius and used to be the Diamondbacks radio guy on the Orioles Sitch right now, will join us. A little after that, Ryan Yarbrough is going to join us, now a new Los Angeles Dodger, and Brent Rooker of the Oakland A's will join us in hour number 2 as well. And I'd like to charge the damn mound presented by Trea, because I'd like to reply to AJ right now with a whopping, no, we cannot not talk about the White Sox, because MLB decided 10 minutes after our show finished up yesterday to put out the discipline, and Tim Anderson gets 6 games. José Ramírez gets 3 games. Clase got a game. Some coaches got a game. You good with the suspensions?
I'm just confused. They both fought.
Mm-hmm. Who started it?
Tim Anderson, clearly.
So when you start a fight,
I don't know though, but José Ramírez,
true.
He went don't you do that anymore, little
so technically, he might have started it, right?
I mean, you can make that case.
Sure.
Clase, I get it. The one game, I find he wasn't. You know what? They were like, you can take yesterday off because he pitched, blew the save the night before. So like, take tomorrow off, kid.
So if you were running this, if you were Mike Hill, who gives out the discipline for the league, what would you have done for those?
I would have done Anderson and Ramírez the same number.
Really?
5 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
5 and 5?
Because they both squared up. They both were involved in starting and instigating it. They both took swings, and they both one landed one, and the other guy didn't land any. And maybe they were giving José Ramírez credit for his right hand.
They do get to hear things sometimes, like if a mic picked up, apparently Tim was saying that he wanted to fight, right? Jose didn't necessarily say that. Guys chirp at each other, but didn't Tim take it to that next level, like, let's fight?
Yeah, but they both, it wasn't like Jose was like, no. I mean,
well,
Tim went boom, and then Jose went boom.
If someone steps up to you in ready position,
yeah, I know.
What are you supposed to do?
I agree, but I'm saying, like, that's why they should have got equal for me.
Okay.
Should have been equal. I'm
not against it.
And I'm not, because people are going to say, you're a White Sox homer. No, I'm serious. Like, Tim, they should have got whatever it was, because they were both equally aggressive in this fight for me. Kratz, no?
Agreed. J-Ram could have easily backed away. He could have not done the same stance as Tim did. They were both very much instigating. I mean, and honestly, like, you can say, like, Tim tagged him, but there was some words from Jose. So if you figure out who instigated it, yeah, Tim instigated the fighting stance, but Jose was the one who was like, whatever he said, get off me or save it or whatever. I think it should be 5 and 5. I don't know why they go 6 all the time. It'll end up being reduced down to 4 or 5, but I think they should have gotten the same.
Well, they do the higher number because they know that the appeal is going to bring it down. No?
Yeah, but like Kratz said, though, I don't understand why they weren't the same. I feel like they were equally fighting.
Yes.
MLB made the decision that, this is my guess, that Tim was more of the instigator.
And he went southpaw?
Yes. Let's go. When he should have flipped it, right?
Should have went.
Exactly.
If you've ever taken a boxing class and you go southpaw and you are not southpaw, you look like such a turd. That first left, big left, is tough. Yeah, you can get some nice hard right jabs in, but you get a big left in, and it's like, meh, and it just like hits, and it's like, bah. It's nothing. I'm just glad Eloy Jimenez made it out of it. It looked bad. It looked like he wasn't going to make it. It's something we haven't even really talked about after the whole skirmish.
He's good. He's fine, I
Did you
think.
ever hear what happened to him? Someone stepped on his toe?
I guess.
I think he's okay, though.
It was bad.
But if you remember, if you see it, he's like, oh, and he's like banging the thing. He's like,
We got to ask him when we bring him back on.
Yeah.
We got him again probably in a couple weeks. We'll bring him on, if not sooner. So we'll ask Eloy what happened.
Yeah, because
he might have also been pissed off just about the fight in
that wasn't a pissed off.
No, that was, I'm out for another 2 weeks. I thought he pulled a calf because he pulled his leg up and he's like, and then, hey, he's in the game the next day.
No, he stayed in the game that day.
Yeah, it seems okay.
Oh, it was that day. That's right.
He got a hit.
Yeah, he's okay.
He's fine.
The one other thing from that fight that I didn't include yesterday because there's so much to get to is, did you see Michael Kopech's comments? We're not going to get pushed around, I'm paraphrasing, by some sub-500 team. Did you see those comments?
I saw his comments.
I mean,
no way.
It's funny. You are a sub-500 team.
Maybe he meant he wasn't going to get pushed around by his own teammates.
True. That's where Kratz goes next level for me. I love it. Hey, do we have a T-shirt? Do we have a cute T-shirt to show everyone for the stadium and the YouTube crowd right now? Oh, there you go. Down goes Anderson. Cleveland is a huge merch scene. Did you know that?
Yeah.
They love merch. They love a fresh T-shirt with a phrase on it.
Is Tom Hamilton wearing that to do the games?
He should get one.
All right, so we'll see. Maybe we'll get to some some White Sox comments later.
I'm done with the White Sox.
Let's
never
talked about it way too much this year.
You're a White Sox addict.
I watch every game. I don't know why. I don't know why.
At this point, the season's over, so you do not have to do that. But they did beat the Yankees yesterday. You still do watch.
Garrett Cole, they beat Andrew Vaughn. Nice job.
The White Sox probably are getting close to the Angels in the standings, though. So
True.
There is that later.
Really.
But anyway, let's spend 2 minutes on this, and then we'll bring in Ken. Kevin Brown is the Orioles TV broadcaster, and he was a bad boy. He's so bad. He read a graphic on the screen during the TV broadcast that said a fact from the media relations department in their game notes that the Orioles weren't playing well for years against the Rays at the Trop, and then they were. What the fuck, Kevin? What are you thinking?
How dare you tell the real facts in a game based on numbers?
Thinking of Home Alone. Kevin's a great broadcaster. He did beyond nothing wrong. Less than nothing wrong. What he actually said, because the Orioles, John Angelos being an asshole is no surprise to anyone. His father, he took it from him being an asshole to John Miller many years ago. There's a lot we can get to there. And we'll do this with Ken too. But yeah, let's show the clip because I had to watch it several times. And I thought I was high. I was like, am I missing something?
You could have been.
Maybe. But you guys watching, decide.
For the Orioles, Brandon Hyde has felt like this has been maybe the toughest ballpark to play in, but the Orioles have a chance to do something special today. They've already clinched at least a split in the series, winning 2 of the first 3, and they could pick up a series win behind Tyler Wells today. It's been a minute. The Orioles split a 2-gamer with the Rays in June. They had lost their last 15 series here at Tropicana Field. You have to go back to when our now colleague Brad Brock picked up the win in the series finale, June 25th, 2017, the last time the Orioles won a series here at St. Pete. Already got 3-2 at the Trop this year after winning 3 of 18 the previous 3 years combined. It is a stark difference, Ben, and it is not a bad Rays team. It's not like all of a sudden the Rays became slouches in the American League East. They've led this division every day, but now 2, and the Orioles once again are back alone in first place.
How dare he read the graphic and read a statistic, a basic stat? So I'll give you one more piece here from Britt Giroli, who did an amazing job covering this, and shout out to Awful Announcing for breaking the story. Britt said, despite it being in the game notes, ownership took exception to Brown pointing it out, believing it made them sound cheap. Broadcasters have also been reprimanded previously for mentioning Orioles' past players who are no longer with the team. She added that ownership also has a new policy mandating that broadcasters wear only team gear when on air. And apparently they have to pay for that team gear themselves. And this is also why Braun, I think during that suspension, had to fill in on a radio broadcast. So another broadcaster, a radio broadcaster, got in trouble for a dress code violation. God forbid somebody saw him on the radio broadcast, because radio's for ears, remember. Also, I'll just throw in this note, the Orioles don't pay well. And that's all I got.
So there's
for
like
now.
3 things to start with. One, I hope there's more to this story than that, Kratzy, because this is unbelievable. 2, this had to go through a producer, a director, a BA, an AD, PR, Ben McDonald, who was his partner.
Fire everyone.
I mean, if he's suspended. And then this was actually positive what he said. They're going to win a season series in the Trop for something they haven't done in forever. So and how is it being cheap? He didn't bring up money one time. It wasn't. They should be like, thank you, Kevin Brown. We're going to win it. And they won the game, and they won the season series in the Trop for the first time in forever. They should be pumped. If I'm the Orioles, I'm like, hell yeah, this is positive.
He sugarcoated it. I would have said the Orioles tanked for years, and look at us now. Ha ha. We're actually beating the Rays a little bit. That's why I'm here.
I don't know. I reached out to different broadcast buddies of mine that were just flabbergasted by it. I don't know anybody that's not flabbergasted by it. It's almost like Angelos was like, he turned on the TV and he was like, I thought we were in first place. I thought we won every game this year. What is going on? Why would you guys be talking so terribly about us? I thought it was creative. Tropical depression, like the words, like just, it all worked out so well. And they just, I guess, suspended him. They didn't fire him, but man, I would love to.
My question is, so Kratz, he was suspended during this, but then they're like, hey, we need you to work radio for us?
Well, just because they ran out of people, and they're not going to pay other
he's
people.
Suspended. Hey, I'm suspended.
Yeah, but he's the owner makes his own rules. Have we not all learned that? They don't give a shit. So
I'm suspended, but they need me to help them, so I'm going to go out. I'm going to go help them. Like I would have been like, no.
Well, there's a problem here with many owners that with teams right now that think that they can get away on the broadcast side with everything, telling them what to say, lowering pay or offering lower money for many broadcasters that are filling in for ones that they are replacing, because you know what their mentality is. And I've gotten this from people high up. Someone's going to take it. There's so many people that want to do this job. We can keep being assholes. It's a true thing. It's a true story. It's not for everyone. Obviously, there were many broadcasters that spoke out great.
The only thing I'll say about this is, again, I hope there's more to it than this, because what we showed is not enough for anyone to get in trouble for anything. A lot of these broadcasters are team employees.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
They're paid indirectly through the team.
Yeah, that's why they're so nice to the team.
They are almost always positive towards the team, which they should be.
Nah.
You're a team employee.
Yeah, but
I want my hometown guys to be a little homery.
Well, then that'll bring us to our poll, and we got to get to Ken. So first off, that was a strong Ken Rosenthal. Ever heard of him?
No.
That was a strong charge to the mound.
He's suspended. Use
discount code FOUL, FOUL, for 20% off your first order at TizaEnergy.com. Get a little boost. Throw a pack in. No tobacco, no nicotine, all that. It's time for our first poll question of the show. Scan the QR code on the screen or watchstadium.com/foul territory. What do you want your team's broadcasters to be? Complete homers like Hawk Harrelson and AJ?
Yes.
Positive but fair? Or honest, or what I would call real talk? Ken Rosenthal with more on this. The Orioles have done this before.
You get the call, and after that, it's, go pack up the clubhouse stuff, say your goodbyes. It's always weird to get traded because you feel like you're in a rush. You got to go somewhere, but we were able to kind of get ahead of it anyways, just because, we had to be out of our place in Chicago at the end of the season. So it was one of those things where we were prepared for it, that it was possibly coming, especially with the, not playing well in Chicago. So that there's chances of being moved at all times. So we were ready to go. Everybody was prepared and got everything shipped out and got on a plane, and now it's just going to pitch.
Hey, Lance, how did you find out? Did they call you in the office? Did they give you a phone call? Did they get a text, a note in your locker?
No, I was actually on the way to the ballpark, and Rick gave me a call and was like, "Hey, are you here yet?" I was like, "I'll be there in 5 minutes." He's like, "Well, I'm sure that you've heard or you're about to hear, but you've been traded. I'll see you when you get here. I was like, all right. And then talked to him, Pedro, Kenny, and the whole coaching staff when I got there. Told them I appreciated everything. And they gave me the good luck the rest of the way, and I wish everybody the best.
And now back to foul territory.
I do now.
Let's run it back. Scotty Braun, AJ Pierzynski, Erik Kratz, and Ken Rosenthal. So, Ken, hello to you, and let's just continue the conversation we were running through 2 minutes ago. When you see the story about Kevin Brown, broken by awful announcing, and then elaborate details from our friend, your colleague, Britt Giroli, what was your reaction? And I specifically also want to hear your reaction to the clip itself, because everyone refers to graphics that are like that every day.
Well, as for the clip itself, Scott, I had the same reaction you did. I kept looking for what the problem was, and there could be no problem. He wasn't criticizing the team, he was praising the team. So the whole thing just seems so odd and curious to me. But I've covered the Angelos ownership of the Orioles for a long time. I was at the Baltimore Sun when Peter Angelos took over the team in 1993. I was at the Baltimore Sun when Peter Angelos let John Miller go after the 96 season, and I was a columnist at that time. And that was about John Miller not bleeding black and orange. That was the phrase. Angelos said, I want our announcers to bleed a little bit for the home team. John Miller was and is a great play-by-play man and someone who was direct and honest and did not sugarcoat, but did not go out of his way to be negative either. So he was at the time quite a popular figure in Baltimore, as you can imagine. This guy went on to ESPN, to San Francisco Giants the next year, where he still is today, 27 years later. He won the Ford C. Frick Award for Excellence in Broadcasting from the National Baseball Hall of Fame. And so when this news broke yesterday, it just reminded me of that whole thing. Now, that was Peter Angelos. This is John Angelos. But it's the same family, and it seems to me, unless we hear otherwise, and we have not heard peep out of the Orioles, this is the same kind of thing. The only difference is what Kevin Brown is alleged to have done was far less than anything John Miller did, and John Miller didn't do anything. So that's where we are.
John Miller bleeds black and orange. I don't understand where they were wrong. He went from the Orioles to the Giants. It's Halloween every day for him. I mean, it's been Halloween every day for him for 50 years. And his Birkenstocks and shorts, it was the greatest. He's one of the best. How can the Orioles and Kevin Brown, I know he's coming back, what, Friday they said? Or
Yes, Friday.
This week, right? Friday?
Yep.
How can he just come back on the air and say, okay, I'm back, guys, and everyone, because the cat's out of the bag now, and the fans are going to tune in and say, oh, this is the guy that said good things about our team, and he was suspended. So, hey, welcome back, Kevin. We love you.
Well, I can't speak for Kevin, obviously, but AJ, you do this job, and I would imagine Kevin gets back on the air, conducts himself as he's always conducted himself, professionally, and makes no mention of this, nor should he. He should just go out and call Orioles games the way he has and the way he's entertained fans and informed fans for his entire tenure there. This guy is one of the bright lights of the business. I believe he's 32 years old, and look at where he is. So, frankly, as others have mentioned, the Orioles are lucky to have him, and he'll go do his thing and be Kevin Brown. The fact that this happened in the middle of a season, their best season in years, at a time when they are peaking, just goes to show the level of pettiness involved. This is not what you want people talking about or reading about. What people should be talking about is the team itself, their performance, and yet that is not the case here.
To avoid this pettiness, should announcers not be paid by the teams?
Erik, I can't really speak to that. And in so many cases, the teams have an ownership stake in the network or a partnership with the network, and that's why they have say. And in a perfect world, yes, everything would be independent and people could speak their minds freely. That's not the world we live in. So what you're talking about is an ideal, and that is not something that's realistic at this stage. It's just a situation where, in so many cases, there is that strong tie, and yeah, the team does have a say over who its announcers are. And actually, if you think about it, AJ kind of touched on this earlier, it should, because the announcers are so closely affiliated with the team. In many cases, they are team employees. I get that. We all get that. Doesn't mean you can't have an objective booth. The Mets booth, for example, they will clearly point out anytime they see a problem on the field, off the field, whatever the case might be. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez. There are other booths like that as well. And those booths have credibility. They are widely respected by the fans. The fans understand that they're not necessarily out there, the broadcasters, to rip the team, but they're going to say what they believe if a certain kind of play occurs or a certain incident occurs. That's what a good quality broadcaster does. The best teams, in terms of their ownership with regard to this situation, they understand that. They understand that a Gary Cohen brings you a certain credibility that a pom-pom waving announcer would not.
Ken, Hawk takes that personally, okay?
Hawk's a different category. Hawk, I mean, we all love Hawk, and that's a whole different thing. And there's a place for those guys too. Let's face it. And a lot of fans greatly enjoy guys like Hawk. And some fans, not all, but some, much prefer that. They only want to hear the good. Listen, free country, everyone has their opinions, that's fine. But when you have a booth like, for instance, the Mets have, it brings a certain credibility with your fan base, and it elevates your broadcast, quite frankly.
Ken, that's why, as you know, as national broadcasters, when we go in and do a game, everyone thinks we hate their team because we're not.
Right.
We're giving both sides. We're saying, hey, they're doing this well and they're not doing this well. This is why they're in first place. This is why they're in last place. So you get it all the time. You know it. I get it. You get it. Everybody's John Smoltz gets it. Joe Buck is famous for talking about it all the time, about how everyone thinks he hates every team on earth. And it's just a weird thing. But the thing for me is the Orioles aren't the first team to do this. There's been other teams that have done this. The Angels did it, right? I think the Diamondbacks had a weird thing with their announcer where he didn't wear the right shirt and he wouldn't say the right thing. There's been more than, it's not just the Orioles. Are we too sensitive as owners and teams and too controlling of how these people work?
My answer would be yes. And again, AJ, when you conduct yourself as an ownership group in this fashion, and let's just stick to the Orioles for a minute, it reflects poorly on the Orioles. I don't know that there are many fans out there today who are saying, you know what, Kevin Brown deserved it, man. They stuck it to him and good. He shouldn't have said that. No. So who's the clown here? Who is the fall guy? It's not Kevin. It's the ownership. It's John Angelo's. And ultimately, that is not a good thing. And I don't understand at times why owners don't see that there is a credibility associated with an objective broadcast, that if they do interfere, it will be perceived in a certain way and not in a positive way for the most part. So I don't know the answer here. People are going to be sensitive. Owners in particular are going to be sensitive. I think we all understand that. But there's sensitivity and there's absurdity, and this was absurdity.
John Angelos, he's just like us. He's the only person who's looking at things that way. Last thing I'll say is what you mentioned. For every problem that you hear about that gets public, I promise you, there are many, many, many stories just like this that don't get out. And why do I promise you? Because I know them. I've heard them over the years. We probably all have issues with the broadcasts and owners and networks, and depending on what the situation is, things get touchy. But this situation in particular is ridiculous. All right, Ken, let's get to your article from yesterday. I wanted to ask for you to elaborate on the Red Sox running out of reasons to be inactive at the trade deadline. I've used this line many times over the past year. The Red Sox get weird at the trade deadline the past couple years. Why?
I don't know. And the article was basically a column saying, okay, they can conduct themselves a certain way. You can rationalize anything. You can justify anything. But at some point, as an organization, you have to push forward. You have to go not all in at the deadline. No one really goes all in except the Angels. We see how that's worked out. But make a push. And they have not done that under Chaim Bloom, who took over before the 2020 season. 2020, of course, the pandemic year, you throw it out. The Red Sox were not a good team anyway. 21, they obviously went to the ALCS, but at the deadline, yes, they acquired Schwarber, but they didn't make a big push because they didn't feel their farm system was strong enough, and it was an extreme seller's market. Last year, they kind of went halfway on selling, bought a little bit. It was a weird deal. They sold Christian Vasquez, traded him, and then did not follow that up by trading Evaldi and JD Martinez, which could have gotten them under the luxury tax threshold. So what are you doing? And then this year, I actually, looking at them compared to last year, the fact that they kept their guys, they kept Paxton, they kept Justin Turner, the veterans that they possibly could have traded. Adam Duvall was another one. And then they added Luis Urias, pretty good infielder. Okay, they were not in a great position of strength, 25% chance of making the postseason. But my point was, in this column, at some point, stop making excuses and go forward. Now, they would say we have not reached that point yet. We're not strong enough competitively this year to have done that. We have not been in the past strong enough in terms of our prospects to do that. Okay, but you keep building, and they are building, and they've developed a pretty good core now. Well, what about next year? If you're only at 40% playoff odds, are you going to just say, this is a math equation? No. At some point, you play in Boston. You've got to go. And that was really the gist of the column.
All right. From the Red Sox to our favorite team here, the White Sox. Since AJ won't ask the question, what is your
Homer.
favorite? He's a homer, yes. What is your favorite part of this mess, or most just mind-spinning part of this mess that's going on?
There's no favorite part. It's not a funny thing at all. The one thing that stands out to me, and I'll confess on this one. Last year, I think it was the end of August, I wrote a column basically addressed directly to Tony La Russa saying, "Dear Tony, it's not working." He was out at the time with his health issues. I said, you shouldn't come back. They're playing better under Cairo, and just that's it. It hasn't worked. My understanding at the time was that La Russa was a huge part of that problem. My feeling now is that obviously there were many other problems that a new manager didn't solve, that there were cultural embedded issues that have not been addressed. Now, La Russa was part of the issue. Okay, that's fine. But man, it's incredible just how this has come apart. And what Keenan Middleton said, and what was backed up by Lance Lynn on this very show, it holds some validity, obviously. Two players feel that way. They're on the record as saying that. It's not being made up. So they talk about addressing their cultural issues. They talked a lot about it yesterday. They haven't done it. And at some point, they've got to figure this out and get better as an organization. Frankly, this is embarrassing, what has happened to them. And they too play in a large market. And here they are just kind of floundering around. So I'm not sure I need to write an apology to La Russa just yet. But put it this way, it wasn't entirely him, that's for sure.
Did you have any problem with what Rick Hahn said about Keenan Middleton's comments? Because he went into a story basically about how he said he wanted to come back next year. I felt like that part was either unnecessary or even a little bit of a threat. Like, obviously, you're not coming back now. And I will say, I give credit to Keenan for actually speaking out in this way. I know we had most fans in the chat were like, thank you for pointing this out, things that we had all been speculating, right? But I want to make sure that players do feel like they have a safe space to be able to speak out when an organization in his mind is not being run correctly, spoke the truth, and then his other teammates backed him up. So I just don't want other guys to be scared, because I do see this sometimes where players are like, I don't want to get in trouble. You know, I'm going to be a free agent soon. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, I know what you're saying. And what Keenan Middleton said was the exception, that line of remark. he basically told Jesse Rogers of ESPN what he thought about the organization, what ailed the organization. And of course, we all, as reporters, want players speaking out all the time, but they don't always feel comfortable doing that, which I understand. There are ramifications at times. I was surprised by what Rick Hahn said in response to Middleton, basically accusing Middleton of being part of the problem. Given the depth of the White Sox problems, it would seem to me the better course of action on Hahn's part would have been simply to say, he's entitled to his opinion. We have our own opinions. We've got to fix some things, and not gone after the player. I don't know really why he did that. Rick Hahn's got to be frustrated too, no doubt. This is his team. He's put it together, and it's fallen apart, and he's had to take it apart through trades. But yes, I was surprised to hear Hahn say what he did. And even if what Rick Hahn said was perfectly accurate, that Keenan Middleton acted in his own way unprofessionally, it does him no good, in my opinion, to go after Keenan Middleton.
What's the solution, Ken? I know as a White Sox, everyone knows I'm a White Sox fan. I work for the team. I mean, I'm an ambassador for the fans, and I'm going up there this weekend to play in their golf tournament and go to the game on Sunday and talk to fans and talk to people up there. What's the solution?
I hate to suggest that people should lose jobs ever. I'm not comfortable doing that. I'll write about the possibility, but I don't want to say this guy should be fired. But something has to change here. And Ken Williams and Rick Hahn, they've been there a long time, and it's not working right now. So if you're not going to change management, and Jerry Reinsdorf, for all his faults, is extremely loyal to his employees. If he doesn't want to change management, okay. But you've got to pursue a different direction. You've got to change the entire makeup of that roster. And it's not going to be easy to do. You've got some players under longer-term deals, but you kind of have to gut the clubhouse and just start over. Now, whether that's with Rick Hahn and Ken Williams or whether it's with new front office, it doesn't really matter. Either way, in my view, it has to happen because this combination of players has not worked.
Good stuff, Ken. Appreciate it, and especially the broadcast part of things too at the top. I'm dumbfounded. So glad we had you on today.
Next time I work with Ken and he brings up something that we had already talked about in pre-production, I'm gonna say, "Well, Ken, you're suspended."
Good. I'm sure you'll have a good time with this.
One more point, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I love how the Orioles are claiming it's not a suspension. A guy is taken off the air in the middle of one of the best seasons in years. He's a play-by-play man. He's a young guy. He's healthy. He's just taking 2 weeks off? Come on. Don't further insult our intelligence.
That's absurd. It's absurd. We're not stupid. Like, especially nowadays. You can't get away with that shit.
No.
I'm telling you.
No.
Thank you, Ken, and enjoy your time. I didn't even know if I wanted to say it, but we're going to do the Fair Territory promo because we know AJ is going to get on you, but a well-deserved 1 week off of Fair Territory. He did 2 last week. Enough. Ken, enjoy the short break before the big stretch after that.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ken. Fair Territory is up there for you on YouTube, on Apple and Spotify. If you want to listen to it, it is fantastic, and it was released yesterday. You can find it in a variety of spots, and of course Ken gets into the NL wildcard race, the Angels collapse, some post-trade deadline returns, and the White Sox fight really towards the top of the show. Okay, we'll swing back and we will continue this conversation on what it means to be a team broadcaster and how fucked up the Orioles are right now. Mike Ferrin used to work for the Diamondbacks, and he will give us some unique insight on how this all works. FT Live, going strong.
It is what it is, Scott. I mean, I'm not on social media. If I had a Twitter account, I would have been fired, I don't know, probably 5 days after Twitter had been invented. And so I'm smart enough to know not to get on social media. I also know that you're also 5 minutes away from your career coming to an end because you could be on the other side of that and say something you regret, and that blows up. So you can't get caught up into it. You know, you tell your own kids that when it comes to social media, my goodness, be careful. Be careful what you're doing out there because there are too many times people are apologizing for what they've done or what they've said or tweeted or whatever else you're doing now. So I don't get caught up in that. I'm so grateful to have this job. I was born on a dairy farm in Wisconsin. I'm not baling hay anymore. That's work. This isn't work. I've been so blessed and fortunate to have this job for such a long time. If that's what you're remembered for, that's fine. I mean, there are plenty of sleepless nights, be it in 2016 or in 97, when you're maybe not sleepless nights, but the night before Game 7 of a World Series, you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say if we win this thing? And I'm not a big believer in writing things out, because about the time something happens, you're looking for whatever you wrote and you can't find it, and then you've butchered it. So you just hope you're not remembered for butchering a call. And if people like this, I'm grateful for that. But I also know, again, we're about 4.5 hours away from tonight's game. I'm 4.5 hours away from saying something I go, oh my God, what did I do? So you better realize, as Sandy Alomar had said, and you players know this, baseball is a game for those that are humble and those that are about to be humbled. And you remember that every night when you step in front of that microphone.
And now back to foul territory.
On Stadium, Scotty Braun, AJ Pierzynski, Erik Kratz, and for the poll results of what do you want your team's broadcasters to be? Homers, positive but fair, honest. I went C, honest. And a lot of people did in the chat, but then they said probably positive but fair is what's acceptable from teams. Honest obviously won the poll by a landslide, no doubt there. All right, let's keep it going right now. My friend Mike Ferrin, who you can hear every day on MLB Network Radio and who used to be a team broadcaster for the Diamondbacks, joins us right now to get into the life of a team broadcaster. Mike, great to have you on, dude. I know you're fresh off your show, so let's get right to it, dude. You see the story about Kevin Brown yesterday. I saw your tweets, and you've always been a big proponent of how to treat broadcasters correctly because it's not that hard. What was your reaction?
I mean, dumbfounded. Like, there's been whispers for a long time about the Orioles wanting to control the message on what's coming out. But for something that innocuous to lead to him being removed from the broadcast was absolutely ludicrous. I mean, all he did was highlight what the Orioles are doing now to be one of the best stories in baseball. And this probably is something that, if they had done it for, like, say, one series and just had him do the radio in Philadelphia, like, we never would have noticed. But when it starts extending on and it extends to the weekend when you're honoring the last World Series team that Baltimore had the last time they won a World Series 40 years ago, the whole 83 team was back and your lead TV announcer isn't there for it. I think they drew a ton of attention to something that, like, nobody ever would have noticed anything about if they had just let it go on. It was an absolutely ridiculous decision. It makes no sense. And sadly, this is the only organization that I could see doing something like this.
What about the Diamondbacks when you were with them? How was that relationship? How was, everything that went on there?
So, it's interesting, but I was listening to Scott talk about the poll and the poll results there. And I think that there is a lot of overlap between positive but fair and honest. I mean, I think the biggest thing is, like, as long as you're not a jerk in the way that you address things or a jerk to people, you can be forthright. And you also have to be accountable, right? If you say something that, and I'm sure you guys have been through this, if you say something or a broadcaster says something that you don't agree with, they need to be in the clubhouse the next day so that you can address it. Like, those are the biggest things. And otherwise, like, I was never told what I could and couldn't say, really. Like, maybe there were some hot button issues off the field that they weren't excited to discuss, but it wasn't anything that would take away from the game broadcast. That level of, and quite frankly, this is censorship on the Orioles' part, is very, very rare, I think, on team broadcasts. I don't think that very often there are meetings between the PR staff or the communication staff or the broadcast director and their broadcasters about what can and can't be said, because like, in the end, you're calling a baseball game, right? Everything in baseball happens out in the open. We all see it. We all know what's happened. We all have the internet. We know what the history is. And so to try and take away the ability to tell the story to help your fans connect, I just don't think many teams would do that. And certainly that was never my experience with the Diamondbacks. They never stopped us from saying anything. When I was there for a 110 loss season, we were never told not to say that the team was bad. Everybody knew the team was bad.
And those meetings you have, are those meetings like about things that you did say? So is it like reactive things, or is it proactive? And could he have had a meeting where it's like talking about Kevin, where it's like, hey guys, don't talk about this, but then everybody else missed the boat because they wrote a whole graphic on it and everything.
It was in the game notes too, right?
Yeah.
So, I think I would say that most of those meetings were proactive, but it was usually with a big story that didn't have anything to do with the team. One example was, when I was there, I think I can probably safely talk about this. Mike Hazen's wife passed away a year ago, was going through treatment for glioblastoma. It was a very, very serious condition, right? So how do we address that? What are they comfortable with you talking about? What are they not comfortable with you talking about? Those things I think are important. And that's part of, but in that case, that's part of being respectful to their family, right? So I would say that most of those discussions were proactive in that regard. Every once in a while, someone will get called on the carpet for something that they've said. But what happens is, ownership, front offices disagree with broadcasters. They address it with them, just like a player would with a writer in the clubhouse, and then they move on. That's how you do it. You don't take your broadcaster off the air and not call it a suspension for 2 weeks for pointing out that the team is good and that they weren't 2 years before.
Mike, why is it so hard for some owners to just very simply do the right thing that is so obvious and done by most of their peers? For example, we've talked about this and you've been very vocal about this. Who is it? The Angels and the Blue Jays? Are they still not traveling their broadcasters on the road? Or was this something that went on for years and finally got fixed? Because I honestly stopped keeping track, because for a while it was a problem with many teams. Then it eventually went down to, all right, who's cheap as shit still?
Yeah, so the Angels and Blue Jays do not travel their radio broadcasters, and I think we've all probably done remote broadcasts in this. You can speak to as well as anyone the challenges of it. And it's not just in calling the game. Really, the access is what you lose, right? You lose access to players to be able to tell stories, to connect your audience better to the product. So yeah, those are the two spots that they still stick in my craw. Rogers, who owns the Blue Jays and owns the radio station, is one of the biggest telecommunication firms in the country. And the Angels play in the second largest media market and have the two biggest stars in the planet. And yet you can't spend the relative pittance it takes to travel radio broadcasters over the course of the season. I don't know why owners can't make that decision. I don't know where their lines are in the sand for what constitutes good and bad spending. I've never been in that position before, right? But it seems to me that the tens of thousands of dollars that are being saved are a bit ridiculous. And I should add this to it. As long as you're talking about owners being cheap in that regard, and that seems to have been, at least from Britt Giroli's reporting, what the Orioles' concern was. Remember, the Orioles didn't travel their television broadcasters to start last year and their radio broadcasters for most of last year in an effort to save those tens of thousands of dollars. And in the end, my guess is that with the amount of technical work that had to go into it, they may have they may be better off having traveled their broadcasters this year than not having done it. So I don't know where those lines in the sand are. I think you're devaluing your product, you're devaluing your connection to your fan base, you're disrespecting your fans by not giving them the best product possible. And I think all of those things are short-sighted, especially when we're watching this kind of baseball renaissance happen and you're wanting to try and grow your product. The best way to do it is to not cut corners on something that is so simple.
Mike, those two teams you mentioned, the Jays and the Angels, now they might be the only ones that don't travel their broadcasters, but there are a lot of teams now that don't travel their producers, their directors. They do them from home, and they just send their broadcasters. Do you think that's the same thing? Because there's teams now that they keep their production crew home, and it's a different broadcast than it would be if they were on site. Do you think this is the same thing?
Yeah, I think it definitely makes it more challenging, right? I mean, you've done TV broadcast, AJ, with both on-site and off-site production, and there is something that's lost from not being there. I mean, I think like the difference for me as a broadcaster, I need the access, right? Because I want to be able to tell the stories that I need to tell in order to connect with the audience. For a producer and director, I think there is something to be said for having the elements of being able to meet face-to-face with talent before the game, or be able to get a feel for the ballpark or what's happening that you lose from just having that there. I understand that there are cost cuttings that are going on around TV and radio because of the way that the world is changing and the way dollars being spent are changing. But I feel like even when you're talking about producers and TV directors, when you still have to rent a truck right on site to be able to do this, the cost savings are so minimal for a team over the course of the year. I mean, listen, just on the broadcaster side, I don't know what it would. I mean, let's say you travel a graphics person, a producer, a director, you travel a stage manager, right? So you might travel like 4 behind the scenes people, and let's say you're traveling a radio engineer and 2 radio broadcasters, right? So that's like 7 people, let's say 8 people in your traveling party, just to give it a little bit more wiggle room. I mean, the cost to do that was probably less than most of your paychecks, AJ. I mean, to be real honest, I'm not trying to be glib in this. Like, it just is not that much money in the end to do it and do it right.
No, I agree. Listen, I think you're right. I've done broadcasts from right here where we're sitting. I've done many of them where I'm watching the game on a monitor and the game is happening somewhere else and my partner's somewhere else. There's a guy a producer, Brad. I'm going to say Weimer,
Brad and I work together,
but it's Brad Weimer, right? Because we just had Joey Weimer for the Brewers, so it was a big confusing thing. But Brad Weimer, right? I've worked with him for like 3 or 4 years now. I've never met him. Yeah. I've never met. It's a running joke now in Fox that Brad and I have worked together for like 3 or 4 years. And other than on a Zoom call, never met him in person, never seen him in person, nothing. But we talk, we have a game, we'll talk all week and this and that. And it definitely is a different feeling when you walk in. You walk into the truck as a broadcaster, your producer's there, your director's there, BA, AD, the graphics people, whoever. And they're sitting there and you go, hey guys, how's it going? Oh, what do you want to talk about in the open today? Da-da-da-da. You bounce things off each other. Oh, what about this graphic? What about this? Cool. Okay. All right, yeah, let's go to dinner the night before and talk about something, right? It's a different feeling. It's more of a team feeling, and I get it. I get why they're doing the savings thing, but at the same time, it makes you feel better as a broadcaster when the people are there. Plus, it just feels like there's less things that can go wrong.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think troubleshooting becomes much easier, too. But I will say that having known Brad as long as I have, you're not missing anything by not meeting him.
Hey, Mike, so let's finish with this, okay? Kevin Brown comes back on Friday, and he's had a ton of support. Like, don't do something so dumb against a broadcaster well-respected by his peers, and everybody is on their own shows for hours every day. Like, pissing off broadcasters in a way where it's a very one-sided debate does not sit well. How do you think this plays out? Because I know how petty John Angelos is. Like, does Kevin Brown come back and not say anything? Does he have to be careful about what he says? Because this is his livelihood. I know for a fact the Orioles pay way less than they used to for broadcasters. And there is this smug aura about John where he's like, well, there's so many people that want to do this job. I can kind of treat them like shit. So how do you think this kind of plays out now?
My guess is that Kevin will play it very down the middle. I mean, I think I would too. I mean, listen, like I was texting with another broadcaster this morning about this, just in that this attention has to be a little bit uncomfortable for him, right? Like, he's a baseball broadcaster and certainly it's raised his profile, but at the same time, like, you start to get concerned about how the owner that you're working for, how other owners might perceive you. I mean, and let's make this clear. Kevin has brought none of this on himself. He has not asked for any of this attention. This is something that, Kevin has been tough to get a hold of in trying to stay under the radar on this. So like I just think that you probably come back. You don't really address it very much. I don't think that there's much that you can do without running afoul of the guy that's making the decisions, because we've already seen that he's not a rational actor when it comes to making decisions on whether or not somebody should be on the air. So I think you play it as straight as you possibly can, and you just try and stay out of the way as much as you can do that to put together a good broadcast and the broadcast that Orioles fans deserve on this exciting team. Like, that's the worst part of this whole thing, right? Is that, like, all of a sudden John Angelos made this about himself. He didn't need to do that. This team is really fun, really exciting. We shouldn't be talking about their damn ownership.
You're right. And we only have like a minute left, but the last thing I'll say is I do disagree with you on one point. I do not think the Orioles are the only bad offenders on this front. I've heard weird stories. And the other thing is I've probably spoken to about 5 teams over the years, maybe more, about job openings for their TV broadcasts. So I'm not going to point one out in particular right now, but I remember one in particular. They were going through a tough rebuild, and we had a long talk about how you would be able to sell that, which I get it. I get parts of it, right? You're not going to sit on the broadcast every freaking night for 3 hours and be like, we suck, we're tanking. So like, I get the conversation, but it went really, really far. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't show this when I'm sitting there with them. But eventually I'm like, I get it, guys. We know that you're rebuilding right now. We know how to talk about it. I worked for the league for fucking 11 years.
Right. I mean, I think that's the thing is, like, I just think that what they have done, like, I think you're right. There's probably more teams out there that would do this. I just think the level that from what I understand, the ridiculousness with they think that that ownership group is being put in the crosshairs is like, I don't think there's any other ownership group that feels that way about it. I'll just leave it at that. I think that they perceive everything as a slight against them, even if it's a positive on the team, which I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense.
No, you're right. It's like a Stone Age mentality. Mike, awesome to have you on, dude. Great to see you on here. Thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate the time on short notice with the story that obviously was super important to us.
Yep, my pleasure. Take care.
Thanks, Mike. And you can follow Mike. We'll post his Twitter account on here. We already did on our Twitter. And also you can listen to him every morning on SiriusXM on MLB Network Radio. Okay, we're swinging back with our picks. And we have a lot more guests joining us in hour number 2, player-wise. We'll get to that.
That's why he feels the pressure of the if he feels the pressure of the contract. We're just assuming that. But to me, it's not a physical thing. I watch more Phillies games than probably anybody on this panel, but I'm not watching every game. But I definitely have seen him hit balls hard, and they instantly pan right to his face, and it's that face that you've been through it, and you're sitting. He just gives this one like the. He did it the other night against the Marlins, where it was a hot shot to him, and he kind of didn't back up. He kind of tried to play it off to the side in the 11th or 12th inning, ended up losing the game. And he said it. He said, I lost us the game. That's a play I make 99 out of 100 times, and I didn't make the play. He's done everything the way you want a guy that you paid $300 million to do it, because you're not just giving this guy that money because he's a good player. You're giving that to him because you think he's going to fit into your city. You think he's going to fit into your clubhouse culture. You think he's going to lead guys in the next 11 years to be the best players that they can be. And I've never heard anything bad about Trea, guys that played with him, against him. He's out there every single day. And to have the fans, not just in his second and third at-bat standing ovation, he got about 8 standing ovations, and it culminated in his home run with the radio call was tremendous. They said with about 60% of the stadium standing, he hit the ball almost into the upper deck. The Scott Fransky on the call goes, he said, now all of them are standing, and he got a curtain call. Like, that is so important, because in that clubhouse, his teammates have told him, we know you're good. His coaches have told him, we know you're good. His mom has told him, you know you're good. Like, he has probably been questioning it himself sometimes. Like, I can't get out of this. What can I do? And to have another group of 40,000 people every night behind you, it's awesome. Kudos to the Phillies fans. And now back to foul territory.
How we doing? FT Live. Let's run through our BetMGM locks. First off, it is Tuesday. Every single Tuesday, rest of the season, including postseason, we have our FT heater on BetMGM. That means they boost the hell out of what they're doing for you, which we put together, okay?
Either that or they think your idea sucks.
We're hot as hell, okay? We've won the last 2 weeks, and we've only done this, I think, 3 times. Gunnar Henderson to record a hit, and the Orioles to win the game tonight against the Astros. It was plus 190. Now it's plus 240. How you doing? Go on the BetMGM app. Get involved right now. And let's do our BetMGM locks. We're going to quickly run through because we're down to like less than 2 minutes. We sucked yesterday. And
you know who sucked?
We all sucked.
The Yankees.
The Yankees sucked. Yes. So updated money bags. We're still good. Okay. AJ, barely up, but pick us back up today. I'm going to start with our BetMGM locks for Tuesday because it is the FT heater. Every Tuesday, my lock is going to be the FT heater. Kratz puts a lot of work into that with me, and there was a lot of debate this morning, so run that. Hopefully, I'll take it.
You guys know who's pitching for the Astros? It's Farren, right?
I do.
Okay.
I know, but he's actually been inconsistent.
Okay.
Your turn.
Checking. Oh, I'm going over. Cardinals, Rays, Michaelis, Michaelis, and Eflin. I think it's 8.5, over 8.5. It's got all the 6.3, 5.4.
Okay.
Something like that. I think it's minus 105.
You're going to hook it up.
And they're playing in the Trop where the Orioles are good.
Kratz.
Wade Miley +4. Kyle Freeland +4. K's 300 to win 315.
There you go. I like it. And use the bonus code FOUL when you sign up and deposit into your newly created account. Download that BetMGM Sports app or visit BetMGM.com. Place your first bet offer. Receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if it loses. And if that does happen, your bonus bets will be available once the wager is settled. Always bet responsibly. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And lastly, I will be on BetMGM's Instagram Live tonight at around 7 o'clock Eastern time, doing a little Yerfy Nerfy. I'm going to go no runs first inning in Astros Orioles. That's what I'm watching. Yes? Agreed? Grayson Rodriguez against your boy Framber?
I think, yeah. I think it's pretty.
Nerfy? Kratz? Yerfy. Wow. Okay.
Orioles score a lot of runs in the first inning at home.
Oh, shit. Okay. I'm going Nerfy, but we'll see what happens. I'll bring that up in the IG Live tonight. Flip over to Foul Territory YouTube channel. Ryan Yarbrough joining us soon.
So I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's run hour number 2 of FT Live. Not one, but 2 players joining us during this hour. Ryan Yarbrough coming soon. He is now a Los Angeles Dodger. And Brent Rooker of the Oakland A's. Excited to talk to him. He's had a big-ass season. Braun, Kratz, Pierzynski, and I want to sizzle right from the jump here. Hot corner time. The Angels are freezing cold. They are freezing. They need to touch this fire right now. They have lost 7 in a row, and you know what hurts, and you know Angels fans really love me this year. I really do watch a lot of Angels baseball. They're actually not playing terribly. They're losing a lot of close games.
Well, they had their Jimenez, right, their closer?
Estevez.
Carlos Estevez.
Carlos Estevez.
Yep.
He was perfect.
I know.
And now it's like the trade deadline happened, and now it's like, wait, what happened?
He's cold. He was too perfect.
No, I know,
23
but
for
like,
23.
but then in
He
this
was-
last week, it's like it just crumbled.
Yeah.
Otani's hitting homers. They can't score enough. They go out and deal. They blow it in the ninth like they did last night. It's like, gosh, man. I honestly, I feel for Angels fans. I feel for Phil Nevin. I feel because Trout's not there, Rendon's not there. They tried though. You want teams that try to let it pay off. You don't want to see them just have this happen. And now basically they're almost too far out of it with not enough time left and too many teams in front of them. And it's sad because they went for it. I give them credit, man. They went for it.
Mm-hmm.
And when teams go for it, you want them to see win. But it sucks, man, because now it's like, now we're in trouble for 3 or 4 years now because we got nobody left.
I know. I thought their moves, though, were just okay. I know they tried to do something. And also, it is – I can say this, Kratzy. It's one of those cases where really they should have sold. I'm sorry. They were not going to make the playoffs. And this was a way to change the complexion of your franchise for a long time. Just saying. So get one in there, and then we'll go to Yarbrough.
Just didn't work out.
Good.
They tried.
Thank you.
They tried. That is it.
Meanwhile, in LA, the Dodgers are thriving. Let's talk to one of the newest Dodgers, our friend Ryan Yarbrough, back with us. Ryan, great to see you, and welcome to the Dodgers, dude. Take us through the entire transaction process, like when you found out, what your reaction was. Obviously, you're going from KC, which it's no secret, they're not good this year, to one of the top contenders in the sport for a long time now, including this season, man.
Yeah, it was unbelievably crazy. I think there was a couple guys on KC. We had an idea that we were probably going to get moved. It was just a matter of if it was going to happen or not. So I think I might have jinxed it. We were literally in the middle of a workout. We had an off day the day before. I don't think it had been 5:20 or it was 30 minutes past the deadline. And I looked at my buddy. I'm like, well, man, I guess I'm probably I don't want to jinx it or anything here, but I think I'm going to be hanging around for a little bit. And then literally 2 minutes later, Q came in and pulled me aside. I'm like, all right, never mind. I definitely spoke that into existence. But no, it's been super cool though. I mean, kind of get right back into the thick of things, right there in contention to one of the best teams in baseball. It's with all these big names here. It's just been really cool to be a part of, and especially when you first get here and your first series is in San Diego with that kind of an atmosphere was as a Dodger player is pretty incredible.
Did they pursue you in the offseason? Were the Dodgers one of the teams that pursued you?
Yeah, I think there was definitely talking with my agent. I think there was some interest. I don't think how far it got. I know at that time Kansas City was pretty aggressive and was wanting to get something done. But I know there was definitely some interest in the offseason. So it's been good to kind of have talks with them about game planning and things like that. I think it'll be an ongoing process, talking with the pitching staff and the whole coaching staff in general of kind of what they expect from me, what they can kind of help me with. But I mean, from a pitching standpoint, this is definitely one of the places you want to be. So definitely eager to learn and see what they have for me.
Ryan, when you got traded over to the Dodgers, did you go to them and say, listen, I'm much better if you have an opener? And then I come in in the second inning and you start the righty, and then you bring in the sidearm lefty in the second inning, and then I go 7 innings with no runs, and then you finish it off however you finish it off?
Yeah, I mean, especially when you have a guy throwing mid to high 90s pre and post before me, I think it definitely helps out a lot. Because, I mean, Gratterall came in throwing 100-mile-an-hour bowling balls after me, so definitely a different look. I mean, I was just kind of hey, we're back in the thick of things. Whatever y'all want, I'm here. I just want to win. I've been a part of these races to the finish line before, so just to be back in the thick of things and go from there. But we're definitely no egos here. I just want to help win, and I think it'll be a pretty fluid, ongoing process, if I can imagine so.
Hey, Kratzy, this reminded me of the Dotel story you told the other day that went off on TikTok. You want to give him the abridged version and see if maybe he had a throw the pizza or pasta into the trash situation and run?
I'll give you the short version there, Yar. The Pirates, we were terrible. 2010. Octavio Dotel had been with 9 teams at the time. I think he ended up with 15 or something like that. He comes in and he goes, well, I guess you guys need to enjoy me for the rest of the season. And then he went and got his pasta, and everyone else was already in the clubhouse. So he gets his pasta and probably some chicken parm on top, comes back in, and they go, oh, it was like 4:03. You go, oh, you got traded. He goes, he looks at everybody. All right, well, see you guys later. And he takes his whole pasta plate and just hammers it right into the trash can and picks his bag up and walks out. Is that what you did?
Oh man, no, that's incredible. We were, I think it definitely caught it by surprise because it was literally, I think me and Barlow got traded like within a couple minutes span because like apparently I think he walked out of the office and then I walked right in like because we were both like just getting told right away. Because he even made a point like, oh yeah, you'll see him in like a couple days anyways because he's going to the Padres. So I'm like, oh okay, that's cool. But no, if anything, it took me a while to like pack everything up. They were just like getting figured. I never had any experience before like getting traded. You know, it was technically like free agency for me this offseason in a way. But I just kind of made sure I got everything, trying not to lose anything. But man, I can't imagine being able to like do all that and dip like you have your bags packed and ready to go. But no, I I made sure not to linger too long.
Yeah, it was time to get out of there. Just like it's time for you and I to have another moment. I want you to look me in the eyes. Okay. Remember I told you about the whole Brett Gardner thing and you were like, you son of a, you know, that thing. I want to take you back to 2017 and we're going to watch this video. And there's actually two videos here. Okay. I want you to talk us through what you felt like was going on here. Okay.
Oh God. Rollback.
Wow.
Solid hit to left, okay? It was a changeup, okay?
Oh,
on
shocking.
first, 2 outs, you're trying to get after me, okay? But this is the one that we're really sad about. You're already losing 3-0.
Oh, no. Dang.
Ground rule double saves you. That was cranked.
Saves me.
Over the 405 sign. How do you feel about that?
Was I tipping back then too? Like, did you have something there? Like,
no, you're just throwing poop balls up there.
Oh man, come on now. I mean, I'd much rather you be behind the plate calling them than you doing that. But man, I didn't even see that. Where were you? Where were you playing at that point?
Columbus.
Okay. Well, you know, that place is a bandbox. So, I mean, normally that probably it's getting run down in the gap. I think the ball was just like maybe juiced. Who knows?
Ryan, just be like, you didn't go deep. Just say, hey, you didn't even go deep. You can't even get it out of the park in a bandbox. Can't even go deep.
That's 2 for 2. That's ownership.
Two for 2. There has to be more at-bats in there.
Not for me. I don't get any more at-bats than 2 at-bats.
You got 1 at-bat a game?
I get 2 at-bats a game. Then they pinch hit for me in the 7th.
What happened to the other bats? Ryan, what happened to the other bats?
He bounced. He was with the Rays. He didn't stay in games very long.
That's a good point. 3 and dive.
Oh, man.
Hey, Ryan, so take me through the next step of this trade, okay? You go to the Dodgers, then what? Because we had Lance Lynn on yesterday and started to go over, you know, the conversations that he has evolving as a pitcher. AJ was giving him shit for using his curveball because he's like, dude, you're fastball only. What are you doing? So you go to the Dodgers, and I know it's super, super fresh for you right now, but some pitchers have mentioned, like you go to a new team, they say, hey, here's some things that we've noticed from the other side. Do you get any of that right from the jump? Do they let you do your thing a little bit? Because these are 2 very different organizations.
Yeah, I think talking to some of the guys who've kind of been over here, I haven't really got a chance to talk too much to Lance about it, but some other guys that maybe came over throughout the year, like, yeah, they really brought this up to me. I don't know if it's just because I feel like I'm in a good place right now. They haven't really said anything. And plus, I mean, I threw Saturday and I showed up Friday was my first day. So I'm sure they didn't want to try to overload me the day before throwing. But yeah, it's just been more about, hey man, do your thing. Like we really enjoy how you go about your work. And I think it'll be something over time as they notice things or like try to tweak some things. But I think it's just going to be a pretty fluid thing where they're just going to kind of feel me out at first and really not try to reinvent the wheel because I feel like I have been throwing pretty well lately and I've been in a good place.
I want to kind of bring something up that's kind of unique, your situation. You were a free agent, because you got non-tendered. And a lot of fans don't really know about this. Do you think as a player, because you won't be a free agent after this season, you'll be just a month or two under, do you think about it going to a new team, especially like the Dodgers who traded for you? They like what you have. Like, oh, well, they could tender me a contract. They could, we could do arbitration. We could, have you thought about that? You and your wife, you think about that kind of thing? Or is it like, no, head to the ground, lock in, go to the grindstone, go to the mound, whatever I need to do? Or is that something that you think about?
No, I think for first and foremost, whenever you're acquired by a team that's really in the thick of it and making that playoff push, first in the division, like in a really good spot, it's always really exciting to kind of, because you just want to be able to help, and they think that you can help them kind of continue that process. So first and foremost, that was really exciting to kind of be traded to a team like the Dodgers. So, but man, I think, yeah, technically I have one more year control. And so, like, I guess in a way you're like, well, I mean, yeah, I can technically be here for another year. I haven't really thought about it that way. I've just been more focused on, like I'm the new guy trying to get acquainted with everybody, just really get adjusted, especially haven't really done anything on the West Coast before. And it honestly makes it a little easier because my wife isn't going to be with me just for the fact that she's at the point with her pregnancy where she can't travel anymore. So it's, I know that she's comfortable back home and not having to worry about her in that aspect. So it's just a matter of kind of going by my business. But yeah, I think I've just been trying to think about it in the short term at that point, and kind of those things seem to kind of take care of themselves.
Hey, Ryan, I want to ask you about KC because, right now there's some teams that are going through it. Like we've talked a lot about the White Sox and Yankees, and the White Sox have had a ton of drama recently. Royals have had a really tough season. We thought they would take, a step in the right direction. They've been building back up for a while. But it's not like you hear a lot coming out of there, drama or anything. So how is the organization and the players handling losing? I listen to Matt Quatraro pretty frequently. Sounds like super positive and upbeat. Obviously, it's his first year, too, with the gig. So kind of just take me through what that situation is for KC and how you can, like, handle it with class, but also be like, this can't happen every year. We need to do better as a ball club for our fans and for our city.
Yeah, no, I think it starts with the clubhouse culture, and I think they do a really good job there. Like it's still a lot of young guys, but they have the veterans that are really good, like, and kind of help guys through some things. And like I said, it was a really tough year. It kind of still is. And I think right before the deadline when I was there, we had first sweep, and I think it was our first series win since, like, I don't know, I can't remember how long. It was one of those years. But I think everyone is there for the right reasons. They're wanting to get better. They're hungry. A lot of young guys who are still trying to, like, get it figured out because they had some success last year, and the league makes adjustments. So it's a matter of kind of continuing to put that work in. But and of course, I think the biggest thing for them is it's been really tough, and then you saw them go on that 7-game win streak, which is kind of shows them that they still have a lot of fight, and they're not just going to be like, all right, well, the season's over. Let's just kind of, like, pack it in. Like, they still are trying to get better, and they've been in a lot more ball games lately. I know there were some ugly ones early on in the year, but I feel like they've been more competitive, and you can kind of see that by what they've been doing lately, especially with that. I think it was 7 games they won in a row, which is always a good thing.
See, I heard you say the word fight during that answer, so obviously would like to know your take. I got to hear it.
Oh,
We're asking all our guys this week. You see that? That's a good old-fashioned brawl going right there.
Yeah.
You've probably been involved in some benches clearing situations, which occurs every week or two in the game, but nothing happens. Something happened.
Yeah, like you said, been a couple benches clearing ones. I mean, probably the most memorable ones are when I was with Tampa, the whole CC one in Tampa at the end of the year. But I mean, yeah, you don't really see it actually escalate to that. So, I mean, they went right to it. I think the biggest thing that you saw was I don't know how much was talked about, but I felt like the umpire, like, tried to break it up, and after he realized he had no chance, he just kind of got out of the way. But yeah, I mean, they just kind of went at it, and there was definitely some good punches thrown in there.
Yeah. What do you think of A, the tag itself. Did you feel like the tag was too hard? And then B, if you were Kopech, what would be your first reaction when you see like Duke's up? Let's go.
He was kind of in the thick of it. I didn't like really look back at it, but he was kind of like in the middle, like breaking it up there for a little bit, I thought. And I don't know. I didn't really see too much. Obviously, we have Lance and Joe who were there and kind of had an idea. And I don't know if it was stemmed from the night before. I didn't think anything in that moment, but I don't know if it was something from the previous night or something that happened. But kind of those things always stay pretty fresh, and I'm sure that could have possibly be something that was involved as well.
What's your go-to move when the fight breaks out? Obviously, if somebody's charging the mound, I'm assuming nobody's ever charged the mound on you.
No, I mean,
Okay.
I don't think you ever did either. So I think that's a win as well.
I'll charge the mound. Come to Philly one time, and I will charge the mound from the stands. I would wear an FT shirt too, doing it. But what's your go-to move? If you're in the pen, is it different than if you're in the dugout? Having your Mai Tais as you're sitting back on your off days.
Yeah, I think if you're in the bullpen, I think it's a dead sprint because you're all the way out in the outfield. So like you're like not trying to miss anything. I didn't also feel like the bullpen guys were always like the last ones to like get out there because they're like trying to feel it out too. Like, all right, do we go out? Do we not? And then by the time everyone gets out, they're like, holy crap. And they have to like really get out there. But man, I guess like you're in a fight, man, you definitely got to be in the thick of things. You've seen some ones. I mean, I don't know how much you guys have talked to Pete Fairbanks, but he also seems to like to get in these little things over the years. And so like, I think with Baltimore, him and Chirinos got into it, and like you're just right in the middle of it, trying to see how it's going to escalate. But I mean, if you're getting hands thrown right away, like you gotta get in there fast.
Yeah, we've had Fairbanks on.
Yeah, he talked about Legos. He didn't talk about fighting.
Loves Legos.
And
He's a man of many passions.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got a long reach, though. I don't know if I'd.
Fairbanks?
Yeah.
Well, that's probably why.
Never blinks.
Hey, Ryan, so obviously you don't want consistent fighting and guys to get hurt, but do players converse about the attention that something like that brings to the game? It's dog days of August. We're past the trade deadline. People start to get excited about football, even though there's a lot of baseball and really good baseball still to go. When you mix in, a fight like this every once in a while, it kind of rocks the whole sports world. Bautista, Odor back in the day, especially this, because like a punch was landed. Again, we're not condoning violence, but at the same time, if there were never any fights in baseball, it'd be a little more boring, no?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, I don't think it's like you said, it's not something that's going to happen very often, but definitely memorable when they do. Because I think the last one that was really like on this caliber, like you said, was the Bautista Odor one, which was I don't know what year that was. Was that 15 or something? I don't remember when that was. But
16. I think it was 16.
So like I said, they don't happen very often, but when they do, they're pretty memorable, and people remember them for a long time.
Ryan, listen, to somebody that's been through this before, trust me, you remember them for a long time. Yeah. Okay. So I want to ask you. Let's say Kratz did charge you from the stands, which he wouldn't because he's scared of you. But are you on the mound and all of a sudden Kratz, let's say a batter charges you. Are you a glove thrower? Are you I'm going to hit him in the face with the glove and then I'm going to follow with the left? Are you the Kyle Farnsworth? We're going to tackle him and take him to the ground. Are we hoping our catcher gets to him so then you can pat him on the head? I mean, what's the plan for you?
Yeah, I don't think I'm doing the glove toss. I don't think that's me personally. I'm not that kind of guy anyways. So if anything, you're like, all right, just gonna take this guy to the ground, especially if it's Kratzy, who's a lot larger than I am. So like I'm just trying to like take him to the ground, and hopefully some help's gonna be out there in a hurry. So we'll hopefully the catcher's right behind him. But yeah, you just basically try to like attack him and then just kind of take him to the ground and see what happens. But yeah, I'm not gonna take too many punches. I'm sure that's not gonna go well for me.
This is not going to go well for you. You need to have a plan in place. We talked about this. So if your plan is run, you run to second base. But if you're going to take a guy down, you're not taking me down. There's a lot of things we can do. You can run from me.
But that's a tough look. If you're running away, that's a real tough look, Kratzy. I don't think anyone wants to be that guy.
Okay, but then you have to have a plan. Like, are you going for my gut? Like, are you putting a shoulder in? Because if you have it's got to be the right shoulder. This is the moneymaker here. So, like,
who was that? Was that Grinky who did
It
that?
was Carlos Quentin.
Carlos
Quentin's a house.
Dude, I got a great story.
That's not the plan either. Maybe that's not the plan either. Maybe try to go for your legs and just see what happens.
Ryan, when you get off the air, Google Rod Allen, Japan.
Oof.
You know who Rod Allen? He was the Tigers, and now I think
he's Marlins.
Now he's Marlins.
Yeah.
Google him in Japan. He charged them out, and the pitcher ran, and he ran all the way to left field. And finally, Rod catches him, and he was like, I'm so tired, I couldn't do anything. I just grabbed him, and couldn't because he chased him all the way around the field, and he finally caught him out in left field, and he's like, what do I do?
That's smart.
It was over in Japan. He hit him and. Shoo.
Very strategic. Yeah, Rod Allen's tough. I would not want to mess with Rod. All right, last one from me, Ryan. Who are you most excited to meet with the Dodgers when you joined the team in the past week?
Man,
some good names.
Kershaw was really cool, especially as a left-hander. Kind of watching him over the years, that was pretty iconic. And then man, there's so many guys here. And then obviously Mookie and Freddie. I mean, those were probably the easiest answers, but I mean, the people you really watch and have had incredible years, incredible careers. So just kind of meeting them and just kind of getting to be around them and just kind of, we'll get to know them over the rest of the year, but those are pretty cool guys to be able to meet.
Will you ask for their autographs?
Yeah, in time. I don't want to be that guy in the first week. Hey man, also can you sign this for me? I don't want to be that guy. So, let's feel it out a little bit before we get to that point.
Have you gotten a hug from Freddie yet?
I have not yet. Okay.
Oh,
it'll happen.
No, but then Kershaw's coming. Kershaw's coming back, right?
Thursday? Yeah.
Are you going to ask to be You're going to ask him to be the opener, and you come in behind him? No. So you can say, "Kersh, you give me an inning, and then I'll come in behind you."
I'm going to go up to him and be like, "Hey, man, you do whatever you want, and you just, when you're done, you let me know, and we'll go from there."
You need to go up to Freddie. If you haven't gotten a hug yet, you need to go up to him because he might think you're one of the clubhouse guys. I'm just saying.
Kratzy, come on, man. Come on.
You got to go up and give Freddie a hug. He's a great hugger. And, you could initiate it. That would be...
we've talked. I don't think it just... Hugs weren't the first thing that came to mind, but I'll keep that in mind when it does. I'll shoot you a text and I'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, that'll be nice. It'll be nice. He's hot right now, so he might take some hits from you, so it might help your pitching too. But definitely go in for the hug. Definitely, because I think you sure he didn't leave his cleats next to your locker or something like that.
Nah, he's probably on the whole other side of the clubhouse, man. So I'm just trying to hide in the corner,
There's a good hug waiting if the Dodgers win.
He's a hugger.
Win the
Freddie's
division.
a hugger.
Right?
Freddie's a hugger.
Yep. I'm with you. I think you got the message. Ryan, good catching up, dude. Congrats on the new squad. Excited to see you thrive there, and we'll catch you again in a few weeks.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. Ryan Yarbrough, Los Angeles Dodgers. It's crazy, too, with our show. We talked about this at the beginning of the year. We were like, we want to get some more Dodger love. We have a lot of guys now that ended up in LA.
We just had to wait until the trade deadline.
Yeah. Dude, okay, so we were talking about Carlos Quentin and Zach Greinke.
Mm-hmm.
So Carlos, I played with Carlos for a few years in Chicago, and then he got traded to San Diego. Well, before he was like, if he hits me, I'm charging him out. But he was with the White Sox, and we're like, no way, dude. And he never hit him. And then he went to San Diego. Greinke hits him, and there he goes. And he didn't even try to tackle him. He just went. And Carlos Quentin was the biggest, strongest, stockiest dude in the world. He just shoulder and broke. I think he broke his collarbone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He did.
He just went. But this had been building. He's like when that MFer hits me, I'm gonna kill him. And we're like, you won't do it, of course, because Kratz, you know how it was. You won't do it. You won't go out there. You won't charge him out. You're scared. You're scared to do it. And then all of a sudden, boom, he goes. And we were all texting right after. damn, oh, you finally did it. You finally got your chance.
What'd he say?
He's like, you knew I was doing it. You guys thought I was scared. I told you.
Why was there so much beef? He just
Because he hit him every time.
He hit him every time?
He hit him like 5 times, and Carlos was just sick of it.
Why was he hitting him so much?
Because Carlos was raking.
Yeah. Well, then you go after him.
He
That's how you settle it.
And he did.
Yeah,
That dude had some bat flips.
Oh, man, he was.
Quentin?
Dude,
Yeah.
Listen, 2008, he would have won the AL MVP if he didn't break his hand punching his bat. He would have won the AL MVP. I'm serious. Look up the numbers.
Yeah,
he went out at the end of August. He would have more than likely won the AL MVP.
Yep. One more story from you, and then we'll jump back into some things from yesterday, because otherwise it's going to pass. Alex Rios story? You guys
Which
said
one?
there was an Alex Rios trade story with the Blue Jays. Is now not the time?
How they
Now's
claimed him?
probably not the time. Yeah, we claimed him by accident.
What? Wait, why is now not the time?
Yeah, because we got other stuff to talk about. Aaron Boone went. "Ugh."
We have a few minutes.
Aaron Boone
No?
went Last Diaz. That was unbelievable. Let's talk about that.
Okay, fine. But I do want to get that at some point. You
that-
promised during trade deadline show.
I know, but my
Just
career's
save
not
it.
over yet.
On this show?
No,
Unless you
maybe.
talk shit about the Orioles.
You're
good.
suspended for Friday.
Well, then does that mean I get my house back?
No, just you're suspended.
yeah, I'm still here.
It's not your
Okay,
house anymore.
fine. Let's get to Aaron Boone's latest theatrics. You know, what 2 locations are really close to each other in New York? Yankee Stadium and Broadway.
Oh, I don't know.
Look at
That's
this guy.
it, right? That's the shot.
I mean, the one thing is, I've known Aaron for a while now, and I just didn't think he had all of this in him. Like, he continuously gets thrown out of games, and he's on fire. Not to mention, Kratzy, love it, wine in the stand. The New York Post saying Boone loses it as Yanks waste so many chances and lost to the White Sox. That's a great little dab there from Booney. His kids would approve.
Remember what I said?
That was a strike, by the way.
Remember what I said about the picture
was.
of like Tim Anderson, like, and he's going to sign. Aaron Boone now will see that picture
You will, right?
forever.
He's had a lot of tirades, though.
They're good.
Notable
too. Remember when he was
tirades.
like, we're savages in that box.
He's entertaining. He's an entertaining
There-
skipper.
Look at that.
And I will reiterate, if you watch back the pitch that set him off
Strike.
to Volpe, it was a very clear-cut strike. It's one of those, when you look at the box, it's not even touching the line.
Yeah, but there was a lot of.
I know there were other
I don't know if
misses.
you
I
follow
know.
like the umpire stuff on
The scorecards.
the
Yes, I
scorecard
do.
stuff. Laz had a rough game against the Yankees, so it wasn't that. That was just the last one, and now he didn't even care if it was a strike or a ball. His guy got rung up looking, and guess what? It was time. And don't mess with Laz. Laz was a former Marine. Here it is. Plus, 89%.
Boone stayed in Laz's face for a long time. I will say, we're looking at the scorecard for Laz. He was only 89% accurate.
Plus 1.59 runs for the White Sox, though.
Yeah, so he was
That's a
tilted
big. That's
towards,
heavy lean towards the White Sox.
You're right. That is a very heavy lean. My thing is, it does require a lot of patience, because you're right. Laz Diaz could probably take Booney, and he's just standing there. And eventually, I think he was like, enough. I get it. Because he's in his face. He's pointing at him. I mean, if someone's doing that to you, eventually you're going to be like, dude, I'm going to beat the shit out of you if you stay in my face this long. So it takes some
No.
patience. No?
No,
You have to
Laz,
just stand there and take it for that long? How long?
I mean, Laz was giving it to him too. Laz just wasn't like, They were having a conversation. And that's what I love about Boone's tirades is he's having a full conversation with guys. He doesn't just wear one dude out and then like stay there that long. Laz is doing all that. I mean, I can't wait to find out exactly what Laz was saying to him. But Boone is a great imitator. He does great home run impersonations. He does great calls, like voice calls by like different, like what would his home run call be? And for him to pull out the Laz strikeout call, or the Bob Hallion used to do, I mean, that is up his alley. He loves a good theatrical performance. And Laz, let's make sure. I think that graphic came up and it was 66% strike called rate.
Something like that, yeah.
I think that's what it was. That's brutal. I think the accuracy, league average is 89%.
88.
88%?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's brutal. That whole side. He was just blind to that side.
And you guys know that. You're catchers. You know that.
I like Laz, though. I'm not going to bury Laz.
I'm saying
love
for
Laz.
for the game plan, you guys know,
Oh, yeah. You get an umpire scouting report before the game.
and it's important, right?
Oh, because you can steal stuff off. If there's a guy that gives you a certain side, you're definitely going to try and steal it.
Mhm.
You use it. And Roivit and Cole didn't use it last night.
You know what was funny, though? I mean, when he drew the line, and then he was, I mean, I don't think he realized what his face was when he did it. Because there's so many memes, GIFs, whatever they're called now.
He's fun, though.
He is fun, but
He's taking way too much
But-
heat.
again, remember we talked about it earlier. Or
Before the show.
Before the show.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry, not on the show.
Someone's got to take the fall.
Yes. Is he starting to feel the heat for
No.
the team? And
I
is
think
he
he's trying to fire
take-
them up.
I understand that, but Kratz, does an ejection really get you fired? I mean, listen, I know he was standing up for his guys. Is he starting to feel the heat from the media in New York? Because Brian Cashman's got to be feeling it a little bit,
He
right?
just signed like a 4-year deal. Brian
Who?
Cashman has like a lifetime contract with the Yanks.
It's okay. So then he's not getting fired.
That's
Who's
my
the next
point.
on the hit list?
I think that's the problem here. And also, you know how much GMs get paid these days. How much do you
More
think
than
he's
managers.
making this year?
GM's getting more than managers now.
There's a lot of GMs. There's at least multiple GMs that are in like the 10 mil a year range. So if Cash is that, and he just signed a 4-year 40, they're not letting him go. They're not taking that loss.
There's going to be people behind the scenes that are going to pay for this season if they don't make the playoffs. I know you guys keep saying, there's
Okay,
no
but
chance.
What is
But
the
I would
Yankees?
say
what's
there's
the
no
Yankees-
chance, but it's a very low chance.
What's the
right now.
Yankees' goal every year? Kratz, you played there.
Win the World Series.
Okay,
but
if they don't win the World Series, it's a failed year, right?
Yeah, but it's not the 90s anymore. We know, it's not like we know you make the playoffs, you have a chance if you can hit home runs and pitch, and they can do both. They have two. Well, if Rodon will be healthy for September, but you have two really good pitchers, and then you have a great bullpen. They built this team to be this way. And I really think it's gonna be like a Fishman type of firing, like one of those head analytic guys, because they're not quite getting over that hump, and it's showing in the season right now with all these punch outs, and because they love the homer and they think the punch out's not a big deal, but it is because they had
this is the team that Cashman built.
Yes.
Right?
yeah.
What
There's
do you
a
mean?
little more.
He picks the players.
Yes. On surface, yes. There is an analytical part of it. I've seen how it
But
works.
who's in charge of those analytical people?
I'm not saying he's not. But those guys don't have 4-year deals.
Right. It's easier to axe them. You're right. Hey, let's get to our next guest. I actually want to ask him about
He plays
the
for
manager
Moneyball.
tirade. That's right. The OG Moneyball, Oakland A's. Brent
And the
Rooker
Dutch.
joining us right now, having a great year. Brent, we've been wanting to have you on for a while, dude. Great to see you. Great to have you on. How you doing? And we like to kind of carry our convo right into this. I'm not going to ask you about the Yanks front office. Don't worry. But did you see Aaron Boone's tirade yesterday? How would you rate it? And does Mark Kratz have that in him?
I did see that. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it's definitely one of the better ones I've seen. I think Kratz does have that in there. He's gotten fired up a few times this year. He hasn't done the full mocking of the strike three call yet, which I thought was pretty elite. But I think that passion and emotion is definitely in there if you get Kratz fired up enough.
Does that fire you up? Like these guys were just saying, this show has 10 player hosts. So it's just like, I don't know, eventually, right? Because Boone's been kicked out how many times this year? Many.
6.
It's 6? That's
6.
it? It feels like more. Does that actually work?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a part of it that I think anybody that plays will tell you. You want your manager fighting for you. It's frustrating as a hitter to be up there and having calls not go your way consistently and just kind of feeling like the bat's being taken out of your hands at times. So when you feel like your manager's behind you and fighting for you, it gives you a little bit more confidence, and it'll fire a team up for sure.
Bro, that makes me laugh most of the time.
That's fine.
I mean,
Rook, do you remember me? Erik Kratz?
Yeah,
We played
Kratz, yeah, you
together.
know. Yeah,
We
of
played
course.
together, Team USA. We were actually on the – I'm not sure if we have the picture or not. Do we have the picture, Claudia? We might have the picture. What do
No,
you?
we don't. They'll
What
find
does-
it.
All right, maybe another time we'll have the picture. But anyway,
They're finding it. They'll find it.
first of all, congratulations on your season,
Thank
all-star, freaking unbelievable. I want to get into do teams just not give you enough of a chance before you got to where you are? Because you've absolutely banged your entire career, and now the first time that you get more than 15 at-bats in a week, you make the all-star team. So did they just not give you enough love?
I think that was part of it for sure. You know, I started in Minnesota, obviously. Got called up to COVID season in September, played I think just 6 or 7 games, had some success, then broke my arm pretty quickly there after 20 at bats. So that kind of derailed the rest of that year. And then I come into 21, don't make the team out of camp, get called up pretty quick in April, really struggle early on, back to AAA. And then I come back up after we trade Nelson at the trade deadline. And I got a decent run in Minnesota that year. I got probably 200 at bats. Performed well at times, really struggled at times, didn't consistently do enough to cement myself on the roster for the next season, but was definitely, in the mix in spring training, was definitely fighting for a roster spot. Get moved on opening day to San Diego in a deal that, it's just, you know how trades work, that the Twins thought they were bettering their team. They sent me and Taylor Rogers over for Chris Paddock and Emilio Pagan, who are both still in Minnesota, and then didn't get a ton of opportunity in San Diego. I think I got 7 at bats there, played most of that season in El Paso and AAA, put up some really big numbers. But the thing about, when you play in the PCL, you got to put up just crazy, stupid numbers for anyone to take them seriously. And I think that kind of played a bit into it. And then get moved to the deadline in Kansas City, play very sparingly there, and then ultimately DFA'd and claimed by Oakland. And, again, came into spring training this year with definitely not a cemented spot on the team, had to go in and earn it. And I played well in camp and earned a spot, and then got some opportunity earlier on in the season and kind of took advantage of it. So it's been good. I think I've always felt, the last few years, I've felt that if I was given consistent playing time, I could produce. And I was happy to prove myself right with that this year.
Brent, how do you stay positive when all that's going on? You're going first round pick with the Twins, right? So you have some hype. You SEC Player of the Year, Triple Crown. You get first round pick, and then you make it to the major leagues, and you go back down. And then you go to a different team, and you go back down. And then you go to a different team. How do you stay positive? How do you keep confident? And how do you keep going, fighting the fight?
Yeah, I think it was just self-belief, man. I really think it was, I felt, intrinsically within myself when I was given even sparing at bats in the big leagues at times, that the way that I felt during those at bats was never overwhelmed, was never overmatched. It was never facing, guys facing elite arms and thinking, wow, I don't know if I can do this. I don't think I can compete at this level. It was always, even when I wouldn't have success, it was just kind of this feeling that I belong here and I can compete against these guys day in and day out. I just have to wait and be patient to get that opportunity to kind of, to prove it, hopefully to myself, first of all, that I can do it, and then prove it to everyone else as well.
What's this year been like in Oakland? From just not only I'm talking about not just the play, but all the other stuff, the circus off the field with the fans and the sell the team and the possible move, and then now we're hearing you guys might share a stadium next year with the Giants. Does that affect you as a player? It has to a little bit.
That the sharing the stadium with the Giants, that's the first I've heard of that, so that's interesting as well. But it's definitely there. It's definitely there. What I will say is the veteran presence we have in the clubhouse. Obviously, we're a very young team, so there's very few seasoned veterans with a lot of time, but those guys have done a good job kind of keeping that in perspective for us, kind of making sure we stay focused on what we need to focus on, despite all the off-field stuff with the movement and everything. And you guys know, but you'll get asked by fans or friends or family or whatever, kind of what we're hearing. And we don't know anything that the general public doesn't know. It's not like we're having closed doors player meetings where ownership's telling us what they're thinking as far as moving the team or anything like that. So we don't have any extra information. We're just we're finding out news on Twitter with everybody else. And so we're just kind of going about our business, trying to keep our heads down and go out there and compete every night.
Was it cool at the All-Star game? Obviously the fans, have been gathering in different ballparks and the sell the team chants and all that. But when you came up, I just think Oakland A's fans have so much personality. So of course It was awesome to be at the All-Star game, but the world heard them chanting too at the same time when you were at the Dish.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a little shocking. I wasn't expecting it, honestly. You think, obviously we're not in Oakland, we're in Seattle, and there's a contingent of every team's fan base there. So I wasn't expecting to hear it, but when I did, I wasn't shocked because I've said this before. But no matter which side of the aisle you're on or what your opinion is, the one thing you can't deny is how much the Oakland fan base has gone out of their way to kind of show how passionate they are about their team this year and about their city and about their town as well. And that's commendable. That's respectable. No matter what the issue is they've come together and they've gone out there and shown how much they love their team and their city.
What's the coolest interaction that you've had with an Oakland fan this year? Like, have you had either, a conversation with any of them or just a really funny line from them in any regard?
One thing our fans do is they bring you presents, man. Like, I've gotten several big frame posters, cool things like that they'll just kind of bring to BP and just kind of give to you out of the kindness of their heart because they love their team, they love their players, which is really cool. And then I feel like every team has their super fans. We've got our guy Mike, who's at every single game. Gotten to know him over the course of the season, which has been pretty cool. And I think he packs up his whatever he drives around, his van or his bus, and he is at literally every single game, no matter what city we're in. So just kind of getting to know him and build a relationship there has been fun too.
What's the coolest gift you've gotten this year?
It's not in here, but it's just a big frame with it's a picture collage. And in the middle of it's a picture of me and my daughter at the All-Star game, which I thought was pretty cool. So that'll go up in the office or go somewhere that it's just.
Oh, no.
Not right now. I had to. Oh, he's there?
Oh, Brian, we lost you for a sec. You back?
Froze. My back?
Oh, you're good. Yep, you're back.
Who
Right,
called
yeah.
you? You should hang that picture up behind you because you ain't got nothing on that wall.
There's nothing, man. This apartment is very barren. There's not a lot here.
We always joke, blink if you're okay. Blink twice if you're okay.
There's not a lot going on in here, man. It's pretty bare.
He's a prisoner of Oakland.
AJ's jealous though about the presents. Like, did you guys get presents from fans?
Yeah.
Like making stuff for you?
You know what
stuff
the
like
Oakland fans, when you get off the BART to go to the stadium, they hand you a poster board size with baseball cards of your baseball cards, and they'd hand it to you. They'd stop you and be like, here.
Even as an opposing player?
And you'd take it, and they'd be like, now will you sign this one? So then you'd have to sign they'd already. It was like, have you ever been to Europe?
Yes.
Or foreign countries sometimes?
Yes, I have.
And you walk out of dinner with your significant other, and they'll hand them a flower.
Yeah.
And they take it, and then they're like, that's $5. You're like, dude, I told her not to take that flower because I knew it was coming. They do. The Oakland fans, there was about 10 of them that would get off the BART, and they would hand you the card book, the poster, and then
to keep.
You got to keep it.
Okay.
But then in return, you had to sign their 25 cards they had.
I feel like that's a fair trade.
Rook, are you riding the BART?
No, I don't ride the BART.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah, he's too good.
Why were you riding the BART?
That's how we used to get to the ballpark. We used to take the BART from San Fran right to the Oakland Coliseum.
Why didn't you just drive? Traffic was bad.
Drive
taxi one time.
Yeah.
Driver.
Dude,
hell no, it was the easy BART ride.
Is that a thing still, Brent?
Tell
him,
Rook.
Take the BART?
I don't know if anybody takes the BART. I'll say I wouldn't blame you because traffic getting over the bridge it can be bad. Like, it takes a while.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, but you ain't taking the BART, Rook. You know that.
No, I haven't taken the BART. I did ride the bus. I rode the bus when we played in San Francisco. I didn't drive over there because I didn't want to deal with it, but I didn't do
Take
the BART.
the BART. Try it.
I'll do it.
Not bad.
Give it a shot.
We used to
I'll
do
pick
it.
it off day. I'll jump on the BART.
I was with the Twins, and we were super cheap.
Yeah.
We had one bus, Nobody
Do you get recognized? Do you get recognized in Oakland?
I haven't. No, not like in any restaurants or anything. Not in a way that people have approached me about it. No.
You got to change your hair color or something, like bleach it, like
yeah.
do something.
I feel like I'm pretty normal looking, so nothing stands out about me in any way.
We should change that.
We should change that.
I'm pretty under the radar. I'm pretty low key under the radar.
Dude, you play for the A's, bro. Grow like some funky face.
I would if I could, but I can't. What I got right here is about all I got. If I could grow a big beard, I would, but I don't have that. I don't have that in me.
Brent, take me back to All-Star for a sec. So, when you're there, who are you pumped to meet? Did you have any crazy conversations when you were out there too? Because obviously you're around a lot of dudes that you respect a ton, and maybe even some, if they were on the older side, that you kind of grew up watching.
Yeah, I mean, a ton of guys there. I was excited to be around guys. It's always, I mean, it's fun, when you kind of vaguely know guys from just playing against them, even guys, similar to my age, coming up to the minor leagues, playing against them, and then playing against each other in the big leagues, getting to meet them and hang out, was pretty cool. As far as guys I was looking forward to, I wanted to introduce myself to Shohei just because that's just obviously, I think everybody wants to do that. Besides that, just kind of hanging out with some guys that like Shane McClanahan's a guy that I had talked to a few times, but got to hang out with him for a few days. He's a really good dude, so that was fun. Austin Hayes, another guy like that who was cool. Marcus Semien was really, really nice, and very obviously very professional in the way he goes about everything. But he was very kind as well. So just getting to be around guys like that was super cool for me. I think the coolest part of the whole game, the whole experience, was just kind of walking in the clubhouse for the first time and seeing all the jerseys hanging out with all the names and the different teams. That's a pretty special moment. I think that's kind of a mental image that'll hang with me for a while.
We played in Japan together, you and I. So did you take any of the Japanese that I taught you while we were over there?
No, what were some of the phrases you taught me? Can you remind me?
Onara deta and onara shita. Like, is that what? Did I just farted and did you just fart?
Sure, yeah.
Did you say that to Ohtani?
I remember that. I did not, but one of my very, very one of the most vivid memories I have of that Japan trip was we were stuck in traffic in the middle of Tokyo, and Kratz just had his bus window wide open, just yelling those two phrases out the window for about 30 minutes. That was a pretty funny bus ride, and he had the guys going good for sure.
And Brent, this might or might not surprise you. He's probably the most mature guy we have on our team of hosts.
Oh, yeah.
Goes to show you what we've got here on this show.
It was a good bit that he rolled with throughout the whole trip, so it was funny.
What did you think of the fight the other day? We've been asking we bring multiple players on a day on this show. So you see that, what was your reaction? And, did you think that it was justified to be started that way there was past beef too, but the tag, José said, hey, don't tag so hard.
Man, it was shocking. I think we got back in the clubhouse after the game and everybody saw the video. And I mean, you've seen fights before, but I don't think I've ever seen two guys like go high guard, straight square up like that on a baseball field. So it was just kind of like jarring and kind of everybody kind of gasped when they saw it. Obviously, you don't know everything that all the past stuff that goes into that. It's obviously a ton of emotion and a ton of animosity built up over the course of probably several years with those two guys playing against each other as much as they do. But I mean, I respected it. If you're gonna throw, you might as well square up and throw. And they did that. So they didn't half-ass anything. They kind of said, if we're gonna do this, let's do it, and they went after it. So.
And I'm assuming, like, if you were in the same case, you would have done that too, no? If a player puts his dukes up in your face and he's like, "Let's fight," you're not going to run and hug him, right?
I wouldn't. I'm not gonna. I'm pretty not confrontational. I'm not going to start anything like that. But yeah, I mean,
sure.
If a guy throws his glove down and kind of squares up like that, I don't think anybody in the league's going to back down from that. I feel like that's a pretty blatant challenge, and you got to stand up for yourself and kind of take that on.
Also, because José Ramírez, I don't know how much you've seen him, or obviously you've played against him with the Twins too. He's pretty chill. Like, he's not much of a talker, right? Like he's not in your face. Doesn't really do much. I don't even remember seeing him ever kicked out of a game.
Right. No, yeah, he's definitely pretty chill, pretty low key, and kind of goes about his business quietly. So, I mean, he was fired up about it. Obviously, like I said, I don't know what the backstory is, whether it was justified or not, but to get José fired up like that, it probably takes a pretty good bit.
Brent, you mentioned, what was the super fan's name you had in Oakland that you know?
Mike.
Okay. You played at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Do you know there's a super fan at Mississippi State? Do you know any of the super fans at Mississippi State?
Yeah. Which one? There's a lot.
There's a guy named Brian Dennis. He's a super fan. He stands behind home plate. He gets in fights with umpires every game. Have you met him? He said, he has a beard.
I'm sure that I have met him. Brian Dennis.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was there for 4 years, so I'm sure that I have met him. Yeah, is he a buddy of yours?
Seats are like right at the dude, like right kind of off camera, but he's always in the back, like with the solo cup, standing there, and he's yelling at them. Anyways, that's besides the point. The point here is my daughter is going there next year as to play volleyball to start Vegas. Awesome. So I need to know a couple things before I go there. One, is it just Hail State? That's it. There's no cheer I need to learn.
No,
and then
Yeah, that'll pretty much cover it if you just go Hail State. That's pretty all encompassing.
Okay, and then she can't buy her first cowbell, right? She has
Correct.
to. Someone has to give her first cowbell,
Yep, that has to be gifted to her.
and that can't be
What?
from her mom and her dad, correct? It
I
should
don't
be from
think
someone
so.
else. Okay,
I don't
so who
What's
gave
a
you your first
cowbell?
cowbell?
You got to bring us on the
So
inside
Mississippi-
here.
Okay, so
This
Mississippi
is way
State has
too
a,
inside for an
Mississippi State's
international
thing
audience.
is they have a cowbell they ring.
Okay.
Like that's
Yeah.
what they're famous for. They just ring cowbells, and so every person that goes there, they get
Like an
give,
actual cowbell? This isn't
cowbell.
like a drink at a famous bar?
This
Okay.
is
No.
literally a
Actual
cowbell.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So everyone has one eventually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we're debating: do we buy my daughter her first cowbell, or does she have to be gifted it from someone outside of her immediate family?
This also sounds like a Hallmark thing, Brent, where like Hallmark just came up with 80,000 different holidays to sell cards. Somebody is a cowbell billionaire.
I don't know. I should know. I know she can't buy it. I don't know what the immediate family rule is. I think my first one came as soon as I committed. Like some family friends who are Mississippi State fans bought me mine. I think is where mine came from. But I don't think it can be mom or dad. So someone will get everyone though, and and they're everywhere. So I mean, you go to a football game and there's 70,000 of them ringing, and it's deafening, it's loud, but it's fun. So I mean, she'll come across one eventually.
Okay,
Why
perfect.
don't you buy it for her?
I could send me a
Brent can
shipping
do it.
address. I'll get it for her. Yeah, that sounds perfect.
That's cool.
That's
That'd be
big.
unbelievable.
That's big league of you, Brent.
Yeah.
Yeah, way to go, Kratz. Way to shame him into it. Thanks a lot.
but
Yeah,
AJ has
no,
to-
that's perfect.
AJ has to sign 25 things for you, though.
That's fine. That's fine. It cost him more for the cowbell. That's fine. And the shipping, and it will.
Do you still have your cowbell, Brent?
Yeah, I've got several of them at this point. They're all up. They're not in this apartment with no decorations. They're at my home with there's actual decorations and things. But yeah, I've got several of them.
Hey, Brent, last one from me. Do you have a nickname? I'm saying like a nickname?
No.
No?
Everyone, I
want
mean, sure. Wait, like Rook is what I got. Like that's what I go by. That's what everyone calls me. Which everyone assumes is like condescending, but I was called Rook before I was ever a rookie, so that never even crosses my mind, and I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah, no, I don't think about that either.
Well, his name's Rooker.
I know that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm saying if there was something, something else. I'm always trying to figure out. I don't have one off the spot.
No,
I just
I
didn't
got it.
know if there
I
was
thought
something
you had
that
one
had
for
in
him.
Yeah, I did
No,
too.
like-
I'm excited.
You just played with Ramon Laureano, who just got traded, right?
Laser.
He
Yeah.
he's laser Ramon Laureano. That's cool.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm just trying to think of something. All right, so give me. I'll use the homework and I'll work on something.
Next time we
That's
have him on. Next time we have him on, when he delivers my cowbell, and you can have a
Yeah.
nickname. That's
Yeah.
his payment. Scott's going to come up with a nickname for the
Nickname,
cowbell.
I'll get the cowbell. You give me a nickname. That's a fair trade.
Okay, we have a large audience. I'm going to throw it out to everybody, the thousands of FT fans, to work on it because I think it's good marketing. And then I think he might show up at some Oakland restaurants and they'll be like, oh, it's whatever.
It's not a data.
Brent. Dude, great having you on. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for the time, man. It was great to have you, and we'll circle back on all of this homework that we have.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. I appreciate
Hey,
it.
say it with
Enjoyed
me. Hail State. Hail State.
Hail State. That's right.
There you go.
Let's go. Thank you, Brent. Good stuff. Brent Rooker of the Oakland A's. Good dude.
Yeah. Won the SEC Triple Crown. Only second guy ever to do it.
Jeez,
He was a stud.
he was. You're asking him about like random super fans.
He knew. I don't care if you don't know. He knew.
You
Yeah.
didn't
No, I
explain.
know, but-
You didn't explain the best part. The guy probably had a visor on. He probably had a cutoff sweater with a collar, like a collared shirt underneath it. Standard SEC fan garb. They all look the same.
Brian is a friend of mine. That's why I asked, and he is a super fan.
Mm-hmm. Every game.
Every game,
Mhm.
every sport. And he told
every
me
sport.
every sport, every game. We went last time I was in Starkville. We went and had dinner, and he goes, all the umpires know my name at the stadium. He's like, I haven't done my job as a fan if the umpire doesn't turn around and say, Brian, just stop, please, stop. I'm like, dude,
Don't
you
they
gotta
get, like-
calm down.
Don't they get like 15,000 fans?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, SEC
15,000.
baseball is a vibe.
They have condos in left field in Mississippi State where you can stay. Condos.
It's
That
no
didn't go
All-Star,
well
but
for
it's
Toronto.
It's unbelievable. It's no Eastern Mennonite, but it's close.
It's not. There's actually condos in left and center field of Eastern Mennonite. It's a retirement home. It's called the VMRC, Virginia Mennonite Retirement Home. So it's a bunch of like 65 and over people that we used to hit home runs and break their windows.
Oh, I don't have anything appropriate to say right now.
Love you, Brian.
We have some nicknames coming in, and I'll take more in slap hands. But before that, let's do a little preview of tonight's matchups as we hit last minute game time. Full slate, all night games this evening. So if you hit up that Game Time app and you're looking for last minute seats, and we'll get to the code you got to use in just a sec. Where are we going this evening? What is your game of the night that people should look at, especially if they're in the area and go, oh shit, flash deal, I'm going to that ballpark tonight. Where are you going?
I'm going to Tampa.
Oh, it's right here, which you still have to take me to a game.
Yeah, I'm going to Tampa. I mean, that was my lock. And St. Louis is playing better. Tampa.
You want to see the Cardinals?
I know a lot of people on the Cardinals. I see Waino, see some people. But I looked at the rest of the slate, and that's the only one that kind of stood out to me.
What about Scherzer's second start with Texas?
Yeah, it's in Oakland, though.
True.
We could talk to Rook.
Kratzy, you got anything better?
I mean, I want to go where I have a K prop going. So I'm going to Milwaukee. I've never watched a K prop live game. Like, I'm always watching it on TV and like checking the app and being like, does he have it? Do I have it? But being there in Milwaukee, be a little Digny sesh. I might throw out the first pitch in the bullpen, not in the game, just in the bullpen. But yeah, I'm going to Pewaukee.
I like it. And then, I mean, technically for me, and I'm going to be doing an IG live on the Bet MGM account, so hit up Instagram later. That's a good game. Houston against Baltimore, the all-tank teams, the all-analytics teams. Mike Elias against his former ball club. They're both good now, right? Sig Megdal, too, who works for the O's. He worked for Houston, right, with Lunau and all those dudes. And now they've got it all running. Framber against Grayson.
Wasn't Mike Elias a Houston guy?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He was in the Houston front office.
Yeah.
So he's been through it twice. So anyway, check out the Game Time app. Let's run through it for you. And if you're looking for last minute tickets, this is the spot. As you know, we talk about them a lot because we mean it. We really enjoy the partnership that we have with them. GameTime.co if you're not on the app, but get the app. It's super easy to check out where you're trying to go for the evening. As you can see there at the top, I love sliding. Yeah, there we go. To unlock deals, which you get right there. Cheap seats and the Game Time guarantee means you're always going to get the best price from Game Time over anyone else. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference. So buy tickets in a matter of seconds. The app is pristine. You go in there, 2 taps, you're set to go. Tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you don't have to dig through your email. They make it very easy for you. I felt like they basically did a case study, some of the other companies, and they were like, okay, I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm going to make it better on my own app, and it's called Game Time. Redeem code FTLive for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and then throw that code in there for $20 off that first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Okay, so one thing before we hit slap hands, and then we'll run through some Brent Rooker nickname ideas. Ratty Telez begins a rehab assignment at AAA Nashville today. That's important for the Brewers, but also important for foul territory because I miss him. We haven't had him on the show in a while.
By the way, I'm mad at Kratz about this.
What?
Kratz didn't show me the picture of his finger.
What?
Huh?
So I saw Rowdy this weekend, or Thursday. I did a game.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, did Kratz show you the picture of my finger? And I was like, yeah, I sent it. And I was like, no, why? He goes, I sent it to him.
The one that got caught in the fence or whatever?
Did you seen it? Did
no. I'm saving it for the show.
You can't show that on the show.
It's bad?
You don't want people. There'll be people like passing out.
Oh my gosh, Kratzy, do you have the picture?
Rowdy's a liar.
Well, we knew that.
Well,
we knew that.
that's a given.
Yeah.
No, first thing. So I'm standing in the Milwaukee clubhouse, and I'm talking to like Julio Teheran and Woody, Big Woo, Yelich, because they're all playing Papa Shot. They have a Papa Shot, and Rowdy comes out of the food room surprisingly. And he's like, hey,
that's not how he talks.
But, he's just mumbo jumbo flying at me. And I'm like, oh, you're here. I thought you were hurt. He's like, you want to see my finger? And he had like a band, he pulls it off and he's like, it's all healed now. I'm like, that doesn't look that bad. You missed a month because you have a bad finger? And he's like, oh, let me show you the picture. I sent it to Kratz. He didn't show you the picture? And I'm like, no. And he showed me the picture and I was like, okay, I get it. And I said, how did you do this? And he said, well, I was shagging in center field and I was trying to rob home runs. I said, first of all, dude, us fat people, we don't shag. He's like, well, you don't shag. And I'm like, we don't shag. And second of all, like, you don't run fast enough. Why are you in center field anyways? You know, I'm trying to show off my athleticism. I'm like, no, dude, stay in your lane. You go take your 4 grounders at first. You hit in the second group and you go in and get some air conditioning. It's because bad things happen when us fat people try to do athletic things. And sure enough, there he is. But he's coming back.
He learned his lesson.
BP the other day.
Yes.
He learned his lesson.
He's not going to be shagging in center
Kratz
field.
had the picture, but I guess
Mariano Rivera learned that lesson late in his career too. I mean, he always did it. But one more thing, then we'll slap. Robert Murray of Fansided reporting the Mariners are calling up top pitching prospect Emerson Hancock. He was, I believe it was 2020 was when he was selected by Seattle. So here we go. Let's go, baby. Mariners are close. They're hot.
They are hot.
And they have pitching depth. Emerson Hancock, and he's had some ups and downs. I think he's been much better lately because the ERA is like in the 4 range, but he's good. He's got good stuff. So excited for him to join already one of the better rotations in baseball, and it's young. No?
Yes.
Seattle's got a lot going.
They have a lot of guys under control too. Gilbert.
They might trade
Castillo.
one of those guys in the offseason for like a long-term controllable. Woo! Little Woo. There you go. There's the tweet. Okay. So we'll talk more about Emerson Hancock. Maybe we'll have Baseball America give us a little breakdown. And when we find out, I don't know for sure yet. Is he starting? Is he relieving? Is there a spot for him? We'll get to that. We have plenty of time. We're on every day. Let's slap hands. Okay. Kratz hats. And I'll give you some nicknames after that.
From back in my Blue Jay days, I think I got like 49 at-bats. Dunedin, the Blue Jays. The Florida Roast League. No, actually, it wasn't. It was just, It was the Florida State League.
Mm-hmm.
It was so hot down there. Thank goodness I was only there on the Phantom DL.
When I played against Dunedin, Juan Guzman pitched against us.
Oh,
who?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You age yourself.
Oh, right. He was on the DL at the time. He came down and pitched against us.
Who?
Juan Guzman. You remember him? Nasty.
Not the hitter. Not the hitter.
I was going to say.
No, nasty pitcher for the Blue Jays. Like the late 80s, early 90s-ish, mid-90s.
Man.
He was nasty.
Splitter, huge hands, right?
Booked him.
Got him.
That's why you remembered him.
That's
My
right.
only home run that year.
One of the few.
My only home run that year was against John Lester. Oppo Taco.
Sorry about it.
Do you like Buzzsaw?
Yeah.
Do you like iRake? Almost like iPhone, iRake? No?
You got to really bang to have your nickname be iRake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the 2 you came up with?
That was it?
I didn't come up with those.
Those were the best 2?
Come on.
It's not a great looking list.
AJ's daughter's not getting this cowbell.
Yeah, way to go.
Oh,
Disappoint my daughter.
Those are not mine. I'm not taking responsibility.
Now I'm going to have to buy my own cowbell.
I will come up with some nicknames. Okay? We got you, Brent. The All-Star. Thanks for joining us. Brent Rooker, Ryan Yarbrough, Mike Ferrin, Ken Rosenthal,
Erik Kratz.
us 3 dweebs. And we will see you on Wednesday on FT Live with Jesse Rogers, who is definitely the writer of the week. AJ might have to take 15 minutes
I'm going to have to take the day off tomorrow.
Jesse Rogers is on a heater. And good luck to everyone with your FT heaters. We will see you on Wednesday. Same place.
You still
same
can
time.
subscribe. It's still free.
It is still free $99 everywhere.
Do it. Everybody's doing it.
For the people.